you know, that I need to look to this higher power or some sort of greatness or craziness even that I have in my mind in order to go out there and perform and win a fight, you know. And when he's sitting here going, you really think I'm afraid of you? You really think I'm afraid of you? And I'm like, oh man, I know you gotta be a little bit scared, buddy. You know, I'm scared. I've been scared every time I go out there. And you know, that's when it comes to the social anxiety and the media anxiety. That's what he says, that I have a social anxiety or I have a problem with the media. You really think that I'm not enjoying this press days and what's been going on here, this exposing the truth? Like I don't have a problem with it. It's not the, you know, it's the fighting that it's the fight I don't like. It's the fight I'm worried about, and it's the training that enhances my sense of security. You know, and that's what. That's why I'm angry about the media when I have to do the media. It's only for to miss out. Yeah, only because I may miss out on my training, which enhances my sense of security. And you know, I'm scared to fight. Well, you should be scared to fight. You ain't gonna win. You ain't scared. So, you know, just want to get those points across.
Nick Diaz changed the game in terms of his elite cardio. He did something that was a new thing, and that new thing was he's not going to hit you with 100% power. He's going to hit you with 50%, but he's going to hit you twice as much, and you're never going to get to breathe. And he's going to stay on top of you, and he's going to talk to you the whole time. So he's going to fuck with you psychologically. He's going to disrupt your breathing by constantly hitting you. And then once he realizes you're hurt, then he's digging to the body. Then he's putting it on you. And on top of that, black belt jiu-jitsu skills. Really good wrestling takedown defense, fucking chin made of iron, and an unstoppable will. Like his will to beat you was just unstoppable. When Nick was at the top in Strikeforce, to this day, I think he's one of the best fighters that's ever done it.
My goal is to get new chucks tomorrow. That's how high I want to start getting. I want us to be able to do new chucks like Nick Diaz.
Did you ever see the video of him doing it?
No,
Oh,
I'm going to
dude,
look at the
he's
link
a
when I go
bad
home.
motherfucker with nunchucks, dude.
That's when you know you're bad.
He put the video private on YouTube, though, the best video. The best video was he was on the conference call. He was supposed to be fighting, I think it was Maria Zaromskis. I think it's Zaromskis. He's supposed to be fighting Zaromskis, and he's on a conference call, and like he like leans in the conference call, he's like, you know, I'm just, I ain't no bitch, you know, I'll fight, I ain't afraid to fight. And he steps away from the conference call, and you hear him hit the bong. You can hear him hit the bong, yeah. And then he comes back, and he starts doing nunchucks. So while they're on this conference call, he's got the thing on, and they're asking him questions, and he's out there fucking doing nunchucks, he's high as fuck. And he hits the bong. And he says he's got a way to clean himself out. He said he just stopped smoking weed 10 days out.
E quero continuar muito ainda com ele. E aí eu acredito que não tem pra crescer. Acho que eu quero me abrir as portas cada vez mais para MMA. Eu quero ter minhas alunas também que vão mostrar.
So I was in Stockton, California. I went to school in Lodi, and we both went to Tokyo High School. So he was kind of hanging out with a more of like, we were both hanging out with like a Mexican crowd, you know, a lot. He was just more like a year or two younger. Like the rap music at the time was more of a, I'm more of an old school 80s rocker type of guy at the time. I listened to rock music. My friend didn't like rap music. His dad was, you know, was locked up, and he just had it. He didn't like rap, and he didn't like the urban sort of thing. And he was kind of like my older brother type of guy, you know. And it was a trip, you know. I looked up to this guy a lot. I was trying to date his sister. He was never too fond of that until we got into high school a little bit. And he kind of let me start dating his sister. But so I listened to rock music with him all the time, and then he was hanging out. You know, we were listening to rock and getting stoned, and you know, I learned a lot. And my brother was hanging out with Mexican kids, and he had like these 3 Mexican best friends. And he was walking around wearing little gangster clothes, little Mexican cholo outfits. And, you know, I never really got into dressing too overly gangster. I looked kind of hood, you know. Yeah. But I was more of a kind of a skater. I wanted to skate. My brother never skateboarded. I can skateboard. I can actually skateboard. I'm not great.
Who was your dude?
Cron Gracie can skateboard way better than me. I was so late in the game when it, not late, but early in the whole skateboard game that there was nothing for me. I wanted to skateboard so bad. Like when I was in 6th grade, I got a skateboard for Christmas. You know, this is right when they started making boards with like the both sides. So I came in, I was already trying to skateboard when it was like the old school boards. And so I was really into it. And I just liked the whole, you know, being like, you know, kind of just being a skater. I wanted to be a skater. I love the way I see like, you know, these couple of guys are out skateboarding. I'm like, what the fuck? Why don't I have friends like that? Like, I don't have any skateboard buddies. I have no skateboard. I lived in Stockton. There was nobody, you're not going to find anybody to hang out and go skate. They didn't have skate parks. I would go and try to like rent a video on like maybe how to skateboard or how to do tricks or something. There was nothing. There was no instruction on how to skateboard. There was no older brothers to learn from. I knew one guy in my neighborhood. His name was David Humphreys. He actually still lives with my brother. He's a great guy. He was, you know, one of my best friends, about 4 years older than me, and he was a really good skateboarder. When I met him, we were in the back of David's school, and he was just hauling ass on his skateboard, jumping these huge gaps, and I was just like, "You're nuts!" And he was, you know, I was like, I love this guy. I want to hang out with him. I want to skateboard with him, and you know, I was all about that life until I realized that there's nobody skateboards except for me. So I, you know, started training jiu-jitsu at some point in time. Like when I got into high school, I was just kind of done with the whole skating thing. Nobody was skating. Yeah. Then, like once I was done skateboarding, all of a sudden, all these skateboarder kids came in. There's, you know, TV shows and all the good stuff came in. By the time they built the skate park in Stockton, I was totally done skating. But it's good though. I probably got hurt. I mean, I bought a motorcycle too. I always wanted to ride a motorcycle. Nobody would ever trust me or let me ride a motorcycle, drive a car. Nobody teach me how to drive. They're like, no. They didn't think I was very responsible, which is fair enough. I mean, like, yeah, I was a little bit different. But they, you know, nobody wanted to help. I had no guidance. Nobody wanted to, you know, let me ride a fucking motorcycle. My cousin got to ride the motorcycles. My grandfather had these motorcycles. And my cousin's hopping on these things, jamming out down the road. But by the time I'm the age where he got to do that, like, I'm totally out of the picture. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm half Mexican. He's white on my mom's side. I don't know. Like, they're like, we're not trusting you with a car, motorcycle. We might not even let you drive the lawnmower. So I bought this. So I win my first fight. For $400, I bought a Honda 250R 3-wheeler. Nice. So this fucking thing, it was a sand dune machine. And I learned how to ride on this thing. It had 6 gears. And water cooled. And this thing was a beast, man. I almost ate shit. One time I was flying down the side of these railroad tracks, and there's this telephone pole laying across the thing, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going like 40 miles an hour. I think I'm gonna hit this thing and do like 3 flips. Went right over it. I was like, oh my god, I gotta get rid of this bike. So you know, after I learned how to ride a little bit, and then
still have that bike?
No, I learned how to work the clutch, and I sold it back to the guy I bought it from. I was like, I better, you know, I got fights coming up. I'm like, I'm gonna get hurt. So. And then from there, you know, I moved out of my grandparents' house, which is like right on the border of Lodi and Stockton, 8 Mile Road, and I moved back over on, you know, into Murata, into this place I bought a house. I still live there now. I mean, and then from there though, I was a stoner, you know, like I was hanging out with a skateboard, I smoked some weed. It wasn't gonna, you know, it had nothing to do with me being good at going to school or having good attendance. I got moved around too many schools to ever, you know, catch up or keep up, and I wasn't very good at copying off the board from day one. I was like, I don't have the attention span for any of this, so I never did good in school. But when I was hanging out, and I was the guy that knew how to get some weed though after a while, and I had this foster kid that went to my school in 7th grade. I made friends with, and we went and scored some weed. And he was a fucking badass dude. I would box with this guy, and I was fanatical about fighting or boxing or being able to whoop whose ass or what. And so I'd always get this dude to box, and he's a black kid, and he was strong. He had matured a little faster. He used to be bigger than me. I ended up being taller than him when we got older. But I put on the gloves. He'd knock me down. We got in fights together. He got in a fight with this one dude who was you know, this little white boy type, sort of Okie Peckerwood style type of dude. You know
NorCal, generic NorCal dude.
Just way back in the day, you know, times have changed. But like, so he's fighting this dude, and they try to put us both on Ritalin because, you know, just basically if you didn't have good attendance, you got moved around to school and your parents didn't give a shit. They're like, here, put this kid on drugs. So, and that's another thing too, is like, you know, people don't realize it. Like I was talking to these foreigners the other day, and I was like, yeah, you know, like, I don't remember how we got into the conversation, but like, you know, half the kids in school are on drugs. Half the kids on school are on methamphetamines, and nobody knows about it. It's not a big deal. It's like, oh, that's pharmaceutical.
Right, Adderall and all that shit.
That shit's not funny, man. It's like,
are
you kidding me? So that's why I never like got into. Who knows? I might be a dope head, right? Like, but by the time, I mean, they shoved so much meth down my throat in 2nd grade that by the time I got you know, older and people were starting to, you know, smoke crank and do all that. I'm like, this is basically some strong ass Ritalin. I don't want none of that.
Right.
And
so I must have seen a lot of that there.
So I never got into it. And then I watched people just fucking just slowly fade away from pharmaceutical drugs and stuff like that.
One of my favorite, if somebody pushed me as into, I said my favorite, if I was pushed into my favorite fight of all time from an overall, it would probably be Nick Diaz and TAKANORI GOMI.
That's homework for the Raptors, as well as homework for everybody watching. If you haven't seen that, Nick Diaz 6 times over the legal limit for THC.
But again, watch it, have a little whiskey, a little tipple, whatever's your tipple. Be relaxed, dim the lights, watch it at night.
Couple of candles, hot bath. Turn
the volume up and watch that fight. It's magical.
These two, I'm telling you, this is going to be a war between these two. 161 right on the nose. TAKANORI GOMI. Stockton, California. Nick Diaz trains down there with Cesar Gracie. $161. Let's get these two guys together, man. Let's get some photos right here. Get some photos. Can you face the crowd? Face the crowd first. Face the crowd. Face the crowd. The crowd. Nick's ready to go. Diaz is ready. All right, face off now, guys. Tomorrow night, Nick Diaz always wanted to fight in Pride. He's here, man. He said it. He wants to fight. TAKANORI GOMI. All right, we're good. We're good. All right, man. I'm telling you right now, Diaz is pissed.
A new age of samurai. Fight Fighting's lightweight champion, TAKANORI GOMI.
Opponent for one of those line drive shots. Diaz working the double wrist lock, makes a mistake. GOMI almost goes right to the armbar counter. Now staying on top, raining down punches. Diaz looking to work his guard and try and find some leeway for a submission.
Well, Diaz is going to have to work to get out of this spot of bother. He has been wanting to get into Pride for so long and prove that he belongs in this upper echelon of fighters. And I guess if he can extricate himself and win this fight, he'll prove a lot of people wrong. And by Diaz. GOMI continues on, but he's getting hurt.
Shot by GOMI. He's got to survive. Diaz has got to survive here. He's got to tie him up and keep him getting stung some more. It's a very sticky mat there, so it can keep Diaz from moving as much.
Sure enough, GOMI needs to watch out for that distance, and Diaz being very nice and controlled, peppering and landing very accurate shots, trying to avoid the bombs. GOMI got definitely...
What an amazing first round. People expected it to be something special, and it is. Oh, GOMI, is he fading? Is he just playing possum against the ropes?
Taking shots on the chin. Diaz putting him down there, wobbling him.
GOMI's hands down by his side. Minute to go in the first round.
GOMI letting,
He's not hitting him hard. That's the problem, is that GOMI's not getting hit hard enough to make him put his hands up.
Oh, I'm waiting for GOMI to snap.
He's not as pretty as Mayweather here, but if he can land that shot again and put Diaz down, he can get right back in this fight. Oh, nice hooks by GOMI, uppercut by Diaz. They're just crushing each other.
Where are GOMI's hands? Where's his defense?
See, this is the thing about Diaz. He loves to fight. Fighting is in his spirit and his soul. He loves a battle like this.
Oh, you know, Diaz, he'll take him, he'll give him. He just loves being out there, blood running down his face in the heat of battle. And GOMI, you know what? Line up that left overhand, that left hook. He can't see it coming. Nice double.
That's what GOMI wanted.
Oh, Scott, great to give him applause. See how flexible Nick Diaz is? He's got GOMI in a whole world of trouble right here. He can finish him out.
He's so good. That is it. Nick Diaz has defeated.
In a crazy night of upsets, people everywhere were talking about Nick Diaz. In that first round with Takanori Gomi, did you realize what you guys were doing in there? Did you know it was that fast paced and that crazy?
Well, I kind of had an idea of how it would be. You know, actually, I felt like I was having deja vu in there or something weird like that when I was fighting, as if I'd fucking already done all that shit because I'd, you know, replayed it or thought about it in my head over and over again. And just, you know, I threw the combinations and the punches that I thought I would up against the ropes like that, backed them up and cut them off, and you know, threw the jab, hook, or whatever. You know, I knew it was going to be. I really didn't know it was going to be a lot like that. I didn't expect him to kind of like put his head down and just kind of loop some fucking punch out there and smack me, knock me down. I was like, what the fuck? My leg didn't stick behind me. It fucking sat me down. But you know, I could see clearly. You know, I knew he was going to be able to punch on me. You know, I expected him to shoot on me. I knew he was going to shoot on me. Everybody's like, you know, this whole stand-up war, and of course he's going to say whatever. You know, I would have called it, except for that I knew they were fucking like playing back everything, you know, everything I said in any interview or anything. They were just taking it right to him and telling him what I was saying or whatever. Because I mean, they were telling me shit he was saying, so I didn't say nothing. But I knew the little fucker was going to shoot on me right off the get-go. And I wasn't worried about it, though, because, you know, he can't hold me there and stall, and he's not going to elbow me. He's going to get himself into trouble trying to punch me on the ground. And sure enough, you know, he almost got himself into trouble. And then they stand you right back up. And then, you know, I get back to my punch count. And, you know, try to land me some solid shots. That little guy, though, man, I don't know what the fuck. He was doing some karate in there. He's doing, you know, some crazy super punch shit. It's a little bit different, you know. I don't know what that was. That wasn't boxing skills, though. I mean, dude, you know, he knows how to box. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to knock his boxing. He's actually a little boxer for a little Japanese guy, but you know, he's fucking doing some little Hadouken fucking punch in there to me, you know, or you know, he's knocking people out, fucking busting their shit up. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck did that. I know what hit me here and what knocked me down, but I watched the tape over again. It's like it's either this little tiny little short right or something that just busted me open, or I think maybe I got hit with something that swelled me up, and then you know, I got ripped open with a headbutt or something, but I couldn't figure out what fucked me up here. So
when you talked to Greg before the fight, I mean, Greg Savage, you said, you know, he needed to melted you one with a punch that hurt you.
I said, yeah, he's gonna have to straight, in order for him to win, he's gonna have to straight melt me right off the get-go. He's gonna have to, you know, first round knockout like he was saying or whatever. And, you know, and sure enough, the little guy's got it in him. He's gonna knock somebody out. I mean, what the hell was that? I mean, I've boxing, training with a lot of people. You know, this guy hits hard. But you know, he's not going to hit you. You go in there and you have good boxing skills and you're moving your head right, and you're not going too wild or crazy and don't overdo any watching. You got to watch that guy. He starts looping his head and throwing crazy punches. Like, you know, it was some weird stuff that I encountered there.
How many stitches did you get underneath your eye?
Like 8 on each side or something.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. I get cut a lot. But whatever, you know, see if they can bust me open and you know, get me bleeding enough to stop in the first round, regardless.
You know, when he was basically the last minute and a half of that first round, he was walking with his hands down, totally out of it.
Yeah.
Did you?
I felt it coming. No, yeah. I felt it coming. I felt it going good. I know if it was 10-minute round, it would have been all over with. And if we fight again, it ain't gonna be another 3-5. It's gonna be a 10-minute round. So he's gonna be in a lot of trouble. I don't think he's gonna be able to deal with that sort of thing. You know, and I know he ain't gonna come out right off the get-go and hit me with some of that, you know, diving, dropping your head down and trying to hit me stuff. I started staying back after a man. You know, after I got hit a few times, I think I started watching out. You know, I see him when he, you know, I don't know how he just kind of like looped it out there and whacked me with a few, you know, because I only got hit like fucking 5 times or as far as I know I got hit with like 3 or 4 solid punches, and it fucking did me, you know. I did it.
You landed a lot of shots on him.
Yeah. Motherfucker. Yeah, there he is, huh?
Yeah, you landed a lot of shots on him. I mean, you were jabbing the hell out of him and throwing your combinations on him. he's got a good chin. I mean, he stood up to your shots.
Yeah, no, he looks better than I do right now. And usually that's what I'm, that's usually what I'm saying about me versus the other guy. After I fight, hey, I fucked him up. Even though he won a decision, I fucked his ass up. But luckily, I choked the little fucker. So
yeah, talk about that finish. I mean, the go-go plata is like.
He just when he went for that last double, I just switched right into it, and he shoved his arm so far in there that fucking arm was stuck. Dude, he wasn't moving, so he wasn't coming out of that thing. I felt it the way he put his arm in and had his head turned the other way. I knew his head was coming back. When I threw my leg guard, I knew his head was coming back over, so I just grabbed the top of his head and kept it locked. It was done deal right from the start. Because the only way he was getting out is if his chin came back over the top of that, and it was, I wasn't gonna let that happen.
You have a contract now also with Elite XC, also with Pride. Any idea the next time you step in the ring?
I fucking have no idea, man. I'm just waiting.
You just itching to get back in there?
Yeah, I really hope to get back and fight something really, really quick. After something like that, I really just want to get back in there and fight again. Play no games. I'm young right now. I want to keep it rolling, keep it moving. I turned 23 a while ago and felt old. I didn't like the way I felt. It wasn't a good feeling, I tell people my age and they're not going like, oh wow, you're so young anymore. And it's not the greatest feeling in the world. I'm trying to get on it. I look at my career and past things, accomplishments that I've done, and I mean it's a small little stack of stuff. Is what it looks like to me, And I haven't done much. I haven't done much of anything, is the way I see it.
Last question.
Trying to get on it.
Last question. I mean, Carl Parisian, Diego Sanchez, Takanori. You've been in a lot of wars, Nick. Where did the fight last night rank in terms of your great fights?
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure it was a good-looking fight. I'm sure people thought it would be a good-looking fight. We're both strikers. Hey, I'm the only fucking guy that's gonna box. I mean, you should be able to market me or sell me by now, or put me on a fucking magazine by now, or something, because I don't get no play. I haven't been in one fucking magazine ever. Robbie Lawler still gets put in magazines. What about a motherfucker that can box people up and choke somebody with a go-go? I'm choking people with go-go's and throwing hooks to the head, and nobody else is doing that.
So my first fights, I never like Robbie Lawler. I was smoking weed that day.
No way.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I didn't
Right.
think there was anything like I didn't know it was illegal. I was just like, fuck, I'm killing time walking around, walking in circles, in the morning and the afternoon leading up to this fight that's going to happen at 7 o'clock. I'm like, God, can we just kill some time? Of course you want to smoke some weed. Before I walk into the gym, I'm going to smoke some weed. I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to wait, or we're going to have to wait until we leave to smoke. Better smoke right now. I mean, yeah, it's just so what happened with me is when I was a freshman and I was training at the Animal House gym, like back then too, you wouldn't have been able to tell anybody like that you were smoking weed and you're coming. They probably made me leave class as being prejudiced, like, So yeah, when I'd come in, I didn't want no one to know I was fucking lit, but I wasn't about to go in some hour appointment of any type or workout or anything without smoking a little weed first. So, but when I was fucking lit and I didn't want to talk to nobody, and I was like, shit, they're gonna know I'm high. So I would start working out like crazy. Like, okay, we're in a gym. What do you do here? Work out. Well, that's what I'm doing. I would get right to it and I would jam out, and I would be in a hurry to break a sweat and get into a workout so that I'm not high anymore. But I'd still be high, but just not a comfortable high.
Right.
Not just fucking stoned and sitting there like, oh, fuck. Like everyone's looking at me or something. Go ahead, look at me. I'm working out. So that really worked out for me.
So it was more of an anxiety thing.
Yeah, my trick was when I got in there, I'd be fucking loaded, and I was like, shit, I better work out fast. And so that's what I would do. And then they were like, damn, this kid's a machine.
But you didn't have depression. It was just more of a social anxiety reason. You wanted to be more level and balanced.
I liked smoking some weed, like you like drinking a soda or something like that.
Right. It's just something you do.
It's like steak and potatoes. It's fucking, it's amazing.
It does. To me, though, I don't feel like weed has that stoner, Fast Times at Ridgemont High type of reputation anymore. Like there's high functioning people like yourself who do insane activities, like triathlons and Ironmans. And
I mean, if you lay down and smoke weed and lay down, it's going to enhance your little lay down. You're going to have that's what you're going to do. You're going to do it better. If you lay down and smoke some weed and try to go to sleep, you're probably going to sleep a lot better. If you smoke some weed and you go run, you're probably going to run a lot better. If you smoke weed because you're hungry, you're probably going to be pretty happy about smoking some weed because you don't have any food. If you are not hungry and you need to build some appetite now and you smoke some weed and you start eating some food, you're probably going to be pretty happy with the food you're eating. So there's a lot of uses for anything. I mean, like anything you can come up with, as long as you apply that understanding that, you know, this is going to help, it's probably going to help with whatever you're dealing with.
Back in the day, so this is 21 years ago when I had Nick in my class, it's just the way he was. Nick was Nick, and Nick was going to do what he was going to do, and if he felt like doing that at that moment, that's what he was going to do.
I pulled the fire alarm in her class. I don't know why I did that. I was standing by and I was screwing with it, and I knew it was a fire alarm or something. You know, I was in second grade. You know, it just didn't really understand how the fire alarm worked, you know, because I would kind of mess with it, and then I think I kind of started, I didn't mean to pull the fire alarm, but I was screwing with it too much. And I ended up pulling it, and I was like, oh no, I did not just do that. And then like I was the only one standing there. I'm like, it went down. I was like, and she's like, you pulled it. And I was like, oh. It was bad.
It didn't surprise me. It was like, oh, Nick. Since all of this, I looked on YouTube and I've seen some videos of him because I haven't seen him since he was a kid. He's the exact same. He doesn't make eye contact. He talks very slow and deliberate, takes a breath between words. I mean, when I saw him on that video, he was the exact same kid.
I had a hard time. I moved around schools a little bit. One school has got one type of people, and then another school has got another type of people. So I got to learn a lot about people, I think, on account of that. I don't know how much I learned in school, but I did get to learn a lot about different types of people. Going to a school where it's not so hard, I really stood out as like a hardcore guy when I'm not so hardcore in a hardcore school. So it was just no fitting in anywhere. What happened was, you know, I ended up in these confrontations all the time because I was gonna fight with this kid, and all his friends were like, "Hey, well, you're gonna fight this guy. You're gonna fight Justin. You're gonna." And I'd be like, "Hey, f you." You know what I mean? Because they think it's funny, or they're talking, or someone will come up and be like, "Yeah, you're gonna fight Justin Acello. He's gonna whoop your ass." And I'd be like, "Yeah. You, I'm gonna whoop your ass," and then next thing you know, oh, you with that dude, you mess with that dude, now you're gonna, this is so and so now I got problems with this dude, I got problems with this dude. So I'm just, high school was hard time. High school was hard times. Immediately, they consider me dangerous. They're like, you hit this guy and you drew blood from him and you cut him and you are dangerous and we can't have you on campus. And I'm like, I was attacked. And so that's all I can think about. Like, I didn't even start this, They had an issue with my attendance already because I wasn't having good attendance anyways because I didn't want to show up at school and end up having to blast somebody. And you don't know if you're gonna get shot or stabbed or jumped at school because that's what happens to everybody else. It's not like I'm just paranoid or something. I'm not paranoid. I'm not stupid. That's why I win these fights now because I'm not stupid. It's just like now, before fights, you get a little pumped up. You feel like that when you're going to school. You know how you think you look. Everybody's thinking, hey, you're sitting there waiting to fight. Then they put these cameras on me. I'm sitting here waiting to fight, and then I'm gonna say I'm back in high school. It's a mess, and you're like, oh, why don't you take the camera? Why don't you take the camera? I'm like, take the camera out of my face already.
He doesn't do MMA to be popular. Nick doesn't do MMA to get a pat on the back. Nick doesn't train and fight to get people's approval. Nick does it to survive because he knows this is his one shot.
He's had everything that the world can throw at him. He is not easily intimidated, and you can't break Nick Diaz.
Sometimes he gets upset. When you ask me why he gets upset, it's his inability to express himself verbally. That's why he's a fighter. But when he gets in that ring, he's a poet. He's a poet in motion.
He was always told he wasn't good enough. He was always told he's not going to make it. He was always told you don't belong here, and you know, you're not one of these rich kids. And you know, when he fights, I think he does bring some of that back. And unfortunately for his adversary, that's where that energy goes.
Nick would take on anybody and anything at any time, you know. You didn't get the best yet. Tomorrow, you better be ready to do it again. He had some behavior problems, and also he had some gang problems. Gangs were trying to recruit him because he had a reputation of being tough, and the gangs wanted to have him join up. He wanted to better himself, I could see that. When he didn't do his work, he'd have to do a few push-ups. Okay, you didn't do your homework, 25, give me 25. Let's do it.
I wrestled when I was like 14, 13 in a park and rec thing. I was cutting weight for that because I was like 2 pounds over and I wanted to make the weight, you know. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I made weight for that. That was probably the first time I ever made weight for something. I must have been like 14 or 15. It was a wrestling tournament. I got pinned by, first by some dude with his older brothers were there. They were like, pinned me real quick. You know what I mean? His brothers were there. They're like, man, you animal. They're like, and I was just like, oh man, I was like crying or something. I was like, not there, but I was like, had to take a walk. I was angry, you know, wrestling was not working out well for me. I mean, I liked wrestling. I wanted to be good at it. I just was having a hard time learning. I watched the UFCs. I ran into the tapes. I saw Royce Gracie. I said, I can do this. I started doing jiu-jitsu somewhere when I was like 15, 16, sophomore year, high school. And that's when I met Steve Heath.
I noticed immediately, I teach a move, he'd do it right the first time. Taught him the same move, he'd do it better the second time. By the third time, he did better than me.
And I'm training with Steve every day for months, and then I finally realized that he learned from Cesar Gracie. And I'm like, who's Cesar Gracie? And I'm like, you're telling me, like, there's cousins and, like, you know, I'm trying to figure out the whole family tree thing.
When I first met Nick, he was a guy that, you know, he was hanging out with the wrong crowd. Jiu-jitsu offered him an avenue to look at the world in a different way. He didn't relate well in school because they tell you, you're going to do this homework, you're going to learn it the way we're going to teach you, and that's how you're going to do it or you're going to fail. And with martial arts, it was something that he could do his way.